Om Shri Sai Ram. Sai Baba Mahaparayana. Sai Satcharitra chapter 48. Warding off devotees' calamities. Story of Shevade and Sapnekar. At the commencement of this chapter, someone asked Hemant Pant whether Sai Baba was a guru or a Sadguru. In order to answer the question, Hemant Pant describes the signs or marks of a Sadguru as follows. Signs of Sadguru. He who teaches us Ved and Vedanta or the six Shastras systems, he who controls the breath or brands his body with mudras, metallic marks of Vishnu's weapons, or gives pleasing discourses regarding Brahma, he who gives mantras, that is sacred syllables, to the disciples and orders them to chant the same a certain number of times but does not assure them any result in a definite time, he who by his lengthy gross knowledge explains beautifully the ultimate principle but has himself got no experience or self-realization is not a Sadguru, but he who by his discourse creates in us a distaste for the enjoyments of this world and the next and gives us a taste of self-realization, who is well versed in both the theoretical and practical knowledge, that is self-realization, deserves to be called a Sadguru. How can he who is himself devoid of self-realization give it to the disciples? A Sadguru does not ever in his dream expect any service or profit from his disciples. On the contrary, he wishes to serve them. He does not think that he is great and the disciple as small. Not only he loves him as his son, but regards him as equal to himself or as Brahma. The main characteristic of a Sadguru is that he is the abode of peace. He is never restless nor ruffled. He has no pride in his learning. The poor and the rich, the small and the great are the same to him. Hemant Pant thinks that on account of the store of merits, accumulation of merits in his past births, he had the good fortune of meeting and being blessed by such a Sadguru such as Sai Baba. Even in full youth, he hoarded nothing except chilim perhaps. He had no family, no friend, no home, nor any support. Since he was 18, his control of mind was perfect and extraordinary. He lived fearlessly in secluded places and always abided in his self. On seeing the pure attachment of his devotees, he always acted in their interest and hence he was in a way dependent on them. What experience he gave to his devotees while he was living in flesh are felt even today after his Mahasamadhi by those who attach themselves to him. What the devotees have to do is this: they have to trim their heart lamp of faith and devotion and burn in it wicks of love. When this is done, the flame of knowledge, that is self-realization, will be lit up and shine bright. Mere knowledge without love is dry. Nobody wants such a knowledge. Without love, there is no contentment. So, we should have unbroken and unbounded love. How can we praise love? Everything is insignificant before it. Without love, our reading, hearing, and the study are of no avail. In the wake of love comes devotion, dispassion, peace, and liberation with all their treasures. We do not get love for anything unless we feel earnestly about it. So, where there is real earning, God manifests himself. It includes love and it is a means of liberation. Now let us revert to the main story of this chapter. A man should go to a true saint with a pure mind or even otherwise fraudulently and hold his feet. Ultimately, he is sure to be saved. This is illustrated by the following stories. Mr. Shevde. Mr. Sapnekar of Ahalkot, Solapur district, was studying law. A co-student, Mr. Shevde, met him. Other fellow students also got together and compared notes of their study. It was found by the questions and answers amongst themselves that Mr. Shevde was the least prepared of all for the examination, and therefore all the students derided him. But he said that though he was not prepared, he was sure to pass the examination as his Sai Baba was there to get him through it successfully. Mr. Sapnekar was surprised at this remark. He took Mr. Shevde aside and asked him who is this Sai Baba is whom he extolled so high. He explained, there lives in a masjid in Shiradi, Ahmednagar district of Fakir. He is a great Sadpurush. There may be other saints, but this one is unique. Unless there is a great store of merits in one's account, one cannot see him. I fully believe in him and what he says will never be untrue. He has assured me that I will pass definitely next year and I am confident that I will get through the final examination by his grace. Mr. Sapnekar laughed at his friend's confidence and jeered at him and Baba. Sapnekars. Mr. Sapnekar passed his examination, settled at Ahalkot, and practiced as a pleader there. 10 years after this, in 1913, he lost his only son on account of a throat disease. This broke his heart. He sought relief by making a pilgrimage to Pandarpur, Gangapur, and other holy places. He got no peace of mind. Then he read Vedanta, which also did not help him. In the meanwhile, he remembered Mr. Shevde's remark and his faith in Baba, and he thought that he too should go to Shirdi and see Baba. He went to Shirdi with his younger brother Pandit Rao and was much pleased to see Baba from a distance. When he went near and prostrated himself and placed a coconut before Baba with a feeling of devotion, the latter at once cried out, "Get away!" Sapnekar hung down his head, moved back, and sat aside. He wanted to consult somebody who would advise him to how to proceed. Somebody mentioned Bala Shimpi's name. Sapnekar saw him and sought his help. They bought Baba's photos and came with them to the masjid. Bala Shimpi took a photo in his hand, gave it to Baba, and asked him whose photo it was. Baba said that this photo was of the Yar, that is lover of him, pointing to Sapnekar. Saying this, Baba laughed and all others joined. Bala asked Baba the significance of the laugh and beckoned Sapnekar to come forward and take the darshan. When Sapnekar began to prostrate himself, Baba again cried, "Get out." Sapnekar did not know what to do. Then they joined both the hands and sat before Baba praying. Baba finally ordered Sapnekar to clear out immediately. Both were sad and dejected. As Baba's order has to be obeyed, Sapnekar left Shirdi with a heavy heart, praying that he should be allowed to take darshan at least next time. Mrs. Sapnekar. 1 year elapsed, still his mind was not at peace. He went to Gangapur where he felt more restless. Then he went to Madagon for rest and finally decided to go to Kashi. 2 days before starting, his wife got a vision. In her dream, she was going with a pitcher to Lakhad Shah's well. There, a fakir with a piece of cloth tied around his head, sitting at the foot of the neem tree, came close to her and said, "My dear lassie, why you get exhausted for nothing? I will get your pitcher filled with pure water." She was afraid of the fakir and hastened back with the empty pitcher, and the fakir also followed her. At this, she woke up and opened her eyes. She told this vision to her husband. They thought that this was an auspicious sign and they both left for Shirdi. When they reached the masjid, Baba was absent. He had gone to Lendi. They waited till his return. When he returned, she was surprised to see that the fakir she saw in her vision exactly resembled Baba. She reverentially prostrated herself before Baba and sat down looking at him. On seeing her humility, Baba was much pleased and began to tell a story in his peculiar characteristic manner to a third party. He said, "My arms, abdomen and waist have been paining for a long time. I took many medicines, the pain did not abate. I got sick of the medicines as they gave me no relief, but I am surprised to see now that all my pains have disappeared at once." Though no name was mentioned, it was the story of Mrs. Sapnekar herself. Her pain, as described by Baba, left her soon and she was happy. Then Mr. Sapnekar went ahead to take darshan. He was again welcomed with the former get out. This time he was more penitent and persevering. He said that Baba's displeasure was due to his past deeds and resolved to make amends for the same. He determined to see Baba alone and ask his pardon for his past actions. He placed his head on Baba's feet and Baba placed his hand on him, and Sapnekar sat stroking Baba's leg. Then a shepherdess came and sat massaging Baba's back. Baba, in his characteristic way, began to tell the story of a baniya. He related the various vicissitudes of all his life, including the death of his only son. Sapnekar was surprised to see that the story which Baba related was his own, and he wondered how Baba knew every detail of it. He came to understand that he was omniscient and knew the hearts of all. When this thought crossed his mind, Baba, still addressing the shepherdess and pointing to Sapnekar, said, "This fellow blames me and charges me with the killing of his son. Do I kill people's children? Why does this fellow come to the masjid and cry? Now I will do this. I will bring that very child back in his wife's womb." With these words, he placed his blessing hand on his head and comforted him, saying, "These feet are old and holy. You are carefree now. Place entire faith in me and you will get soon your object." Sapnekar was much moved with emotion. He bathed Baba's feet with his tears and then returned to his residence. Then he made preparations for worship and Naivedya and came with his wife to the masjid. He offered all this to Baba and accepted prasad from him. There was a crowd in the masjid and Sapnekar went there and saluted Baba again and again. On seeing heads clashing against heads, Baba said to Sapnekar, Oh, why do you prostrate yourself now and then? One namaskar offered with love and humility is enough. Then Sapnekar witnessed that night the Chavadi procession described earlier. In that procession, Baba looked like veritable Pandurang, Vittal himself. At the parting next day, Sapnekar thought that he should first pay 1 rupee as dakshina, and if Baba asked again, instead of saying no, he should pay one more, reserving with him sufficient amount as expenses for the journey. When he went to the masjid and offered 1 rupee, Baba asked for another as per his intention, and when it was paid, Baba blessed him, saying, "Take the coconut, put it in your wife's utti, that is upper fold of her sari, and go away without the least anxiety." He did so, and within a year a son was born to him, and with an infant of 8 months, the couple came to Shirdi, placed him at Baba's feet, and prayed thus: "O Sainath, we do not know how to repay your obligations, therefore we prostrate ourselves before you. Bless us, poor helpless fellows. Henceforth, let your holy feet be our sole refuge. Many thoughts and ideas trouble us in waking and dream states, so turn away our minds from them to your bhajan and bless us." The son was named Muralidhar. Two others, Bhaskar and Dinakar, were born afterwards. The Sapnekar couple thus realized that Baba's words were never untrue and unfulfilled. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Om Sri Sai Ram.